A pleasant good evening and welcome to SAT TV's Channel 9 Evening News. I am your presenter, Larry LaRock. Thank you for joining us. Among the major developments, Planned Parenthood Association launches new condom to prevent STDs. Jamaica Tourism Minister calls for more collaboration in the region. Pakistan Supreme Court bars PM Gilani from office. Young Star secures first victory. Details of these and other stories after the break.
Del Prado juices are naturally delicious. Not only do you get a variety of flavors, you also get a variety of sizes at incredible, unbeatable prices. Try the 12-ounce cans, which are ideal for one serving of delicious, refreshing juice. Or try our 946 milliliter sizes, which are ideal for the whole family, and every size in between. The prices are unbeatable. What else do you expect from Astafans? Right place, right price.
30 minutes, everyone. Mom, Rachel is really nervous. You are coming, right? Dad says, tell Rachel I love her and she'll do great. You okay?
Dad, I'm in the studio. Hold the phone so I can't hear.
I love you, you love me. Experience more from life, you will see.
Lime, extra large value every time.
Thank you for staying with us. Now for the details of the news. The Roseau City Council wants to ensure that it has a clean and healthy city. This is why it has partnered with the Neuroscience Club of the Ross University for the past 2 years. At a press conference held on Tuesday, June 19th, it announced that a health clinic organized by the club will take place on Saturday, June 23rd. Persons in the community are encouraged to come and participate. The individuals of the club will be checking blood pressure, body mass index and cholesterol, amongst others. Vice President of the Neuroscience Club, Ms. Anusha Yelisetti, says that the primary purpose of the clinic is to give students first-hand experience on working with others.
At the same time, it's also for us to have some sort of impact on the community that we study under. So we just want to give you the information that we're learning, at the same time to help you get better.
Mayor of Roseau, His Worship Cecil Joseph, says that it is a good stepping stone to helping people in the community to live healthier lives. One of the major concerns at the clinic will be the body mass index. Body mass index is your height to weight ratio. Head clinic coordinator of the club, Mr. Matthew Erisan, says there is a very strong correlation between the BMI and hypertension or diabetes.
We like to give people a good idea of where they sit based on standardized tables that are standardized across the world of what is set out to be a healthy weight in most populations. And so you can take your score and take a look at what your score means relative to those standards, which can help you ascertain your, where you stand. So we will then counsel you based on your BMI or your score that you get there as to the life changes that you might want to make, more exercise paired with maybe a diet with less carbohydrates, things like breads and ground crops.
However, there is a way of life on the island that is very healthy, so it shouldn't be lost.
We're starting to realize that life is less about just doing what you want and more about trying to make smart decisions in moderation about what you do so that you can continue to enjoy the things you love for 80 years instead of 60. What we have found, though, is that there is a very, very healthy group of people on the island as well. Most notably the people that are working in the bush and the people that we have seen that come in and live very active and active lives seem to come in very good physical condition.
There will be an opportunity at the clinic to meet with doctors and make further diagnoses for those who need it. Health Officer of the HIV/AIDS Health Response Unit, Ms. Angela Desabei, is urging people living with HIV/AIDS to eat right. Ms. Desabei says having the right nutrients is vital for everyone. However, it is more important for those who have HIV or AIDS.
If the person is already undernourished, and then the person gets infected with HIV, how does that impact even more on the person? Or if somebody has HIV and what HIV does to the body and to the body's nutritional requirements, so that will differ for somebody who has HIV, because HIV affects the immune system of the person living with HIV.
She says the nutritional needs varies depending on age. For example, a baby needs a different value than that of a 6-year-old.
The nutritional requirements for a child 6 months will differ greatly from a child's requirements at 6 years, and will differ again for a child whose requirements are what the requirements are for a child at 14 years, pre-adolescent. And then for the adults, the nutritional needs will vary also.
In addition, she mentioned that people living with HIV can look normal and be healthy, but eating right will decrease the process to AIDS.
Someone who is living with HIV, well, there's a big distinction, because someone who is living with HIV could look like you and I, and of course nutrition, good nutrition helps all of us, whether we're infected or not. Somebody with HIV, living with HIV, good nutrition, balanced diet, balanced meals plus exercise, decreased stress, taking the antiretrovirals as consistently as possible, adhering to their treatment regime, and taking good care of themselves definitely helps in decreasing the progression to AIDS.
According to Ms. Desabey, there are a few workshops scheduled for the near future that will hopefully stop the decrease and the discrimination and stigma towards HIV or AIDS victims. She says most of the victims are afraid to come for treatment due to people's responses.
We are pushing more now for stigma and discrimination workshops, where we make people more aware of the stigma that we place on persons living with HIV and AIDS and how it affects them. It prevents them from getting tested, because once you get tested, people will know that you're HIV positive. Then that's a whole different story. So stigma and discrimination workshops are the ones we're going to push.
This is a global phenomenon, and we are not immune to such a phenomenon. And if you, and I'm sure you are, listening to what has been happening in the world today, you will realize that serious crimes are only increasing everywhere.
These were the words of Chief of Police Superintendent Cyril Carrett in addressing the public's concerns on what they seem to be an increase in crime in Dominica. Mr. Carrett says with this reality of crime, they have taken up a number of new initiatives to ensure that it does not get out of control, since one crime is one too many.
We have increased our patrols, we have increased our intelligence gathering to ensure that we minimize crimes in the area. And if you would have listened to what I said, that our response time has been much quicker, and resolution to problem become much swifter as well.
Mr. Carrett also pointed out that the Cabinet Subcommittee on Crime and Deviant Behavior has been traveling island-wide to various villages to hold public discussions on crime and violence in an effort to deter would-be criminals. He said it is important that the public attend these meetings so they will have an open forum to voice their opinions and possible solutions. In addressing the issue of the alleged forgery of Dominican passport, the police chief says,
the producers of our passport, Canadian bankers, they are one of the best in the world, and the security features in our passports is very difficult to really forge a Dominican passport or whatever. So persons may do other things, because on a daily basis we have Haitians coming in here with fraudulent passports, and they are being detected. Sometimes they may pass through the crack as well.
With Haitian passports?
Yes, with Haitian passports, you know. So I'm not saying that, as I said, everything is around the book, but I'm satisfied that our passport is sufficiently secure that you cannot really forge a passport.
Mr. Carrett went on to say and it makes no sense when persons voice their concerns on matters that should be investigated by the police on radio stations before bringing it to the attention of a police officer or filing a complaint. A team of government officials left Dominica on Monday, June 18th to attend the Rio Plus 20 summit, which is being held in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. The team is to be headed by Honorable Kenneth Darrow, Minister for Environment, Natural Resources, Physical Planning and Fisheries, which includes also Honorable Rayburn Blackmore, Minister of Public Works, Energy and Ports, and the Director of the Environmental Coordinating Unit, Mr. Lloyd Pascal. Dominican's permanent representative to the United Nations, Honorable Vince Henderson, will also be in attendance. Honorable Kenneth Darrow, Minister of Environment, Natural Resources, says the summit was traditionally called the Earth Summit, where world leaders would meet to discuss the growing issue of sustainable development.
It's been dubbed Rio Plus 20 because it's been 20 years since the world leaders first met in that very same city, Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. That is way back in 1992. And back in 1992 in Brazil, a number of key issues were put forward on the table. A number of conventions and also frameworks were adopted at this conference. Now, at this time in 1992, also 3 pillars for sustainable development was established, what they call the social pillar, the economic pillar, and the environmental pillar.
The objective of the conference is to ensure that there is a renewed political commitment to achieving sustainable development and to evaluate the progress to date and the gaps that still exist in the implementation of such results. As chairman of the conference, Brazil will be responsible for coordinating the discussions and will seek to achieve a consensus and take concrete decisions. Also, emerging challenges will also be addressed.
Now, what is Dominica's position? You will recall that earlier this year we presented to the nation and of course to the rest of the world at the Youth International Donors Conference our climate resilient low carbon development strategy. Now, this is going to be our main paper at the negotiating table at Rio. And why? Because what this strategy does is that it has sought to incorporate the whole issue of climate resilience and sustainable development and link it to our national development plans. We have identified a number of priority areas in the strategy, such as ecotourism, food and agriculture, water, disaster preparedness.
Dr. Darrow pointed out that because Dominica is in the process of developing its geothermal energy, it is in a good position entering the summit. He added that although a significant amount of funds have been invested into the project, it is very important and we will reap the benefits in the long run. One of the main issues which will be discussed at the summit will be climate change.
If the world, we're talking about the global village, is to continue on this current trend in terms of greenhouse gas emissions, that we are looking at a possible between 3 degrees and 6 degrees Celsius rise by the year 2100. So clearly this says that we have to take more urgent steps. We as a small island developing nation, we are doing our best that we can to remain carbon neutral. Of course, our emissions are practically, how will I put it, insignificant as compared to the rest of the world. Okay, but in terms of the climate change, the surveys and studies have also shown that small island developing states like ours are those most likely to suffer the consequences of climate change.
He pointed out that the world's poorer populations are the ones most vulnerable to the effects of climate change, and therefore it is vital that the issue be dealt with in order to be protected from such harsh effects.
We've seen the effects of erratic weather patterns for the past couple of years, the drought in 2010, the freak storms last year, which resulted in serious damage to infrastructure, road, etc., which cost us, millions of dollars. Now we're talking about millions of dollars that could have been otherwise put towards new development. So this in itself stagnates the whole process of development, because after the floods, after the hurricanes, we have to do the reparation work. And I was saying that we are more likely to develop also because of our terrain and also because of the way of life of our people. We can appreciate that a number of our people used the natural resources as a way of life. We can talk about the fisheries industry, the whole agricultural sector.
He described his delegation as very formidable and believes that its proposal will make a difference to climate change. The Dominica Planned Parenthood Association, in collaboration with the National HIV/AIDS Response Unit, presented their formal launch of Cool Condoms on Tuesday, June 19th. Health Officer of the Response Unit says, since 2001, when the first pediatric adult HIV/AIDS workshop was held, 376 cases have been reported in the year 2011. The Health Response Unit provides a variety of services such as resting and counseling services. Same-day results are being conducted at the unit based in Roseau as well as in Granby, Lapland and Marigot.
We still continue to do delayed testing for HIV and AIDS, and of course we promote counseling along with the testing because there are a lot of issues that come up during counseling that we need to deal with when we do our testing. The private lab along with the government lab continue to do testing throughout the island, and in 2011 we had a total of 15 positives, HIV positive people.
She mentioned that surveys have been conducted, and here are some of the results.
It showed that 16.5% of adults aged 15 to 49 have had sexual intercourse with more than one partner in the past 12 months. So when we collect this data, what is the significance? If people are having, look at the percentage of people having sex with more than one partner. There comes the use of condoms. Are people using condoms with every single partner that they are having intercourse with?
Condom promoter Ms. Delia Graham says, after abstinence, the condom is the next best thing.
Condoms, if it's used correctly and consistently, and notice I said correctly and consistently, it has at least a 97% effective rate of preventing us against STIs and HIV/AIDS. Now, why do we stress on correctly and consistently? Because some people may say, yes, I know how to use a condom, but then you put a condom in their hands, and when they use it, we realize that they make errors.
Ms. Graham says the use of a condom is not only a vital factor, is knowing how to use it correctly and consistently is also very important. She explains certain points to be noted when using condoms.
For example, we need to check for expiry dates, make sure that our condoms are not expired. We have to make sure that they have air, so when you touch them, you'll feel that they have air in there. If there's no air and the condoms are flat, it means that they're not good. Also, another important thing when we're using condoms is the use of lubricants. In many occasions, people have used or oil-based lubricants or not water-based lubricants in using condoms, and this is what bursts the condom. So things like baby oil and petroleum jelly and all these oils that even cooking oil from the kitchen that we get quick when we want to, we're in a hurry and we want to use something, we just get anything, and this is where the danger comes in.
Mr. Kevin von der Renham says the Population Services International, PSI, have operated a regional condom marketing program for over 7 years based in Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, Grenada and Dominica. The agricultural sector in Dominica has for the last 6 years been up against a challenge with a disease that is wreaking havoc in the citrus industry. The plant quarantine unit of the Ministry of Agriculture yesterday held a presentation to expose farmers around the island to the characteristics of the disease and how it is spread. Mr. Austin Bell, team leader for the South Agricultural Region, gives us an overview of the disease.
It is present in most of the Asian countries. It has been identified in Cuba, in Brazil, in South Africa, and certainly in most of the Caribbean islands. We have positively diagnosed that disease in Dominica. In the South region for which I work, it has been identified in the Point Michel area, and we have really been doing a lot of work searching around the region and looking for any signs of this particular disease.
The younger shoots of the citrus trees begins to brown and its leaves eventually spreads to the rest of the tree and the tree then dies.
The thing is that the early signs of that disease can be confused with nutrient deficiency. But there are little fine characteristics that can be differentiated. But usually the diagnosis has to be done with a lab confirmation, because there's a bacteria that serves as a vector, and that bacteria has to be identified.
The disease has been positively identified in the community of Point Michel. Mr. Bell says the main aim is to isolate the areas where the disease is found, and a certain amount of destruction of citrus trees will be done.
In a sense, they are making a very general sweep of the island. But eventually, the areas where it is spotted and where it is diagnosed, then a certain amount of what we call, we may have to do some cutting down of the citrus trees, burn and destroy in order to prevent the spread. At the Botanic Gardens right now, new plants are being done, and these plants will be what we call very clean plants, and therefore the farmers are encouraged to use this new clean plants.
This has been the local segment of the news. Coming up next, regional highlights.